one of the areas that certainly stands out is the breadth at which the day is recognized now compared to even a decade ago, and the fact that there are these recognitions and celebrations of certainly not just the life of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but also the legacy that he established and what it means to us as a society today. And so we see different things, and certainly here on campus, we make efforts to recognize the day and have programming. And I think our program isn't on that day, but when school is actually in, when classes are in, as an opportunity to really help people to not only, again, recognize his life and the contributions, but to give us a chance to assess where we're at as a society, and certainly for we here at Oklahoma State, where we're at as an institution. I would say we're certainly we're better than where we were, but obviously still have work to do in areas to create greater levels of accessibility, certainly in terms of higher ed, as we think about as us as a land-grant institution, certainly ensuring that there are that the pathway to a college degree is open and available to everyone. Certainly from a social standpoint, there are areas that we need to continue to work towards progressing in. You mentioned women. The other day I was lecturing in a class, and we talked about women make 77 cents on the dollar for men, and the Equal Pay Act in 1963, women made 59 cents on the dollar, and so half a century later, we've progressed. And so certainly as we talk about racial and ethnic minorities as well, we still continue to see, when we see first in the 21st century tells us that there are some areas that we need to continue to work towards and strengthen. And certainly, what Dr. King provided for us, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington last year, and it was really an action plan for the nation, and that's something that we certainly need to continue to be cognizant of and work towards as a society. It made us realize that we do have, we have issues of segregation, we have issues of inaccessibility, and in order for us to move further as a society, it requires taking advantage of all the resources that exist. And so a commitment to diversity, spans, all components, not just race and ethnicity and gender, but we have first-generation students, we have rural urban students, and once we get that mix of individuals together and be able to learn about the life experiences, the cultural, social, religious, educational, economic values, and get all those ideas together in the same place. And that's really how we progress as a society. And so again, that commitment to diversity, here at OSU as the Chief Diversity Officer, obviously that's my area of responsibility. And as I tell people, diversity provides an inherent value for certainly OSU as a community, but absolutely for our graduates. It provides our graduates with a competitive advantage because the world that our graduates are going out into, as certainly you can attest to, is one that is vastly different than the one that their parents went out to and grandparents went out to. And so you have to have a sense of familiarity and understanding and recognition and respect of diversity and the differences that exist and that you will encounter in the workplace and in society. And by doing that, I like to think our graduates become more attractive to employers because they have that knowledge and experience and come into a workplace regardless of where it's at. if it's in Dallas or if it's in Dubai, and can function and be successful and effective in the jobs that you're doing. And I would say, Lauren, that it's about the old lessons from kindergarten, really. You're treating people the way that you wanted to be treated. And what Dr. King was a lot of, particularly towards the end of his life, that he pushed was really about equality and treating people the way that we all should be treated, and living up to the language of our nation's creed, that we really are all created equal and are being treated equally. And so in that sense, I would say, for students here at Oklahoma State University to one, again, realize the value that happens when there's diversity in and out of the classroom that you get, that you don't get otherwise. There's an inherent value in being exposed to, again, different cultures, different life experiences that really help us grow, not only individually and as scholars, but again, more broadly as a community and ultimately as a society. And so I would encourage students to be aware of that, embrace the differences that exist around us. When you don't know something about a culture or community or an individual, make the effort to go and learn more about it and find out the values that exist other places that may be different than yours, that can ultimately again help you grow as a student and a scholar and just a citizen of society. I grew up in inner city Denver and came to OSU fall of '85, and so personally just seeing society change and seeing the opportunities change. Particularly my children will have opportunities to engage in things and activities and that I never had an opportunity to do. That I encourage them to make friends, to enjoy experiences, to do different things that they're now able to do, that again, that I couldn't do, my parents couldn't do, my grandparents couldn't do, but certainly, there are things that I can do that, my mother grew up in a segregated Okmulgee and father grew up in a segregated Wichita, and, and so here I am, and that's progress, and certainly they would say that that's progress, and there's been lots of changes. Here at OSU, again, when I came in the fall of 1985, today it's vastly different. Not only an institution, but a community that readily and openly embraces diversity. And we have, again, as part of my responsibility, is to ensure that commitment to diversity continues to not only exist but grow. And so we really work to do things to cultivate and strengthen the university's commitment to diversity at all levels. Again, it goes beyond race, ethnicity, and gender. Those are certainly important elements of it, and arguably the core elements of our commitment to diversity. But as we broaden that core, those core values and the things that we hold true, we grow as an institution, and that's certainly what I've seen personally here in my years at Oklahoma State, both as as a student, as a graduate student, as a faculty member, and now as a senior level administrator. And I can certainly say that I'm very, very proud of the changes that I've seen occur over that span, and very much look forward to the changes that will continue to occur to make this a much better place as we move into the future. I would say, do some reflection. Do some personal reflection, some introspection, see where you're at, and see what kinds of things that you might be able to do in your own personal and professional lives and experiences to, really not only help yourself grow, but help Again, this institution, Oklahoma State University, continue to move forward and be recognized as a leader in our commitment to diversity and opportunities and an overall commitment to excellence. And so it really is about making the little changes. It's not the gigantic changes. It's just thinking about the little changes that we all can do. Thinking about issues differently, thinking about people differently, dealing with things in a different fashion than maybe we have personally in the past to help us grow. When I coached my daughter's basketball team for years, and I would always tell the girls, every time you come on the court, figure out a way to do something a little better than you did last time. And it's the range of things. Sometimes it's just being a better teammate and, high-fiving a teammate. So it's not just about passing and dribbling and shooting. There are little things that really add up to make big differences. And the same thing is true when we think about and reflect upon, the life of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on that day when we're not in school, and the opportunity to really learn and grow in ways that, we've never really thought about. So it's, the day there'll be all kinds of shows and movies and things. And, if there's some things that you feel like, I never knew that, or I'd be interested in knowing that, take the time to do it, or even talk to someone and find out. So, but just, focus on doing something that makes you better individually, and that will ultimately improve, obviously the university and ultimately society.